G'day legends, how you going? It's Laz again here with the Not So Long Way Around Uluru Trip. The first 3 days saw us travel from Leonora all the way to Warracoona, and we were only probably about 240 k's out from the border. We left Warracoona all the way to Docker River. It was about 240 k's, and our final destination for the day was Uluru, which was around about a 480 kilometre trip all up. As we left Warracoona, you could see we were coming into some pretty bad weather. It wasn't going to be enjoyable. Fortunately for us, it didn't hit us to the last 40 kilometres, so we're pretty lucky. Now this was going to be our first stop for our 480 kilometre trip. This was our first stop. We were about 67 k's out of town, and we'd been told about this place by our local. So we thought we'd go and check it out. We had to keep an eye out for a big cone filter on the side of the road, so we checked it out. First of all, we went down the wrong track, and then we ended up finding this one, which was the correct one. Fortunately, it was pretty good. But as you can see, we were on some pretty deep sand, and it hadn't rained for a while, so as you can see, it was pretty boggy, and I kept getting stuck in everyone else's tracks. But I wasn't the only one having troubles on the soft sand, as you'll see shortly. The road went from being all sandy and boggy and pretty painful to ride to these massive rocks and washed out bits of road. Now normally this wouldn't be too much of a drama being on the bike by itself. I mean, my bike would normally weigh 134 kilos, with the extra tank maybe 140. I was pushing up close to 220, 230 kgs with all the gear packed on and extra fuel. So as you can imagine, it wasn't really going to be very fast paced riding through here. It was quite treacherous and I didn't want to drop my bike and break anything. Neither did any of the other guys, and they had it a bit harder because all their weight was actually up on top. I was quite lucky to have the panniers, which actually had all the weight nice and low and quite even, whereas with their bikes it kind of felt like they had a passenger on the back, just someone that didn't lean with the bike. It was just the weight, extra weight there, just leaning with them. Finally got there, and a short walk in through the bush wasn't too bad. I was a little bit concerned as to how far we had to walk. I didn't really feel too keen on walking too far, but it was definitely worth it. We come across this water hole. We had been told about it, but we come across it, and the guy was telling us that it's always flowing. It's always flowing from the rocks. There's always a waterfall. They hadn't had any rain for a while, but it was still flowing. Last time he'd been here, and that was about 2 or 3 weeks before. I was kind of hoping to get back there on the way back because we had a fair bit of rain and it would have been quite a nice photo. Unfortunately, I didn't get there. Didn't really want to go back down there after the first time, to be honest. But as you can see, it was well worth the walk. This was our third stop along the way. We had to stop to take photos in front of the Northern Territory sign, which is actually the border of WA and Northern Territory right here, guys. It was only 20 k's to Docker River, which was our next stop for fuel. And from there on, guys, the road got really bad. It got boggy sand and we nearly had a couple offs. Fortunately though, no one did. No one fell off, which was good. That came later on in the day. As we pulled up into Docker River, we weren't too sure on where we had to actually go, so we were a little bit lost. We stopped here, and as you can see, there's a caravan coming up. Didn't quite know what it was. I didn't know if it was like a health van where people go to get their ears checked or whatever. Turns out it was actually a learn van, so it was actually like the school or something like that. Anyway, we got lost. We needed to find directions, and a lady came out, and Jim went to take off to go and like talk to her, and he nearly falls off, which was quite gold. After getting the directions in the right direction so we didn't go the wrong way so we could go and get fuel. Also, after slyly dodging the Chihuahua squad I'm normally going on about and around town here, we finally get there to fill up with fuel, get some food, and pretty much get harassed by a whole bunch of dogs. This was about the closest I ever really got to anybody else riding on the first few days. It was quite dangerous, and as you can see here guys, by looking at Neil's bike in a minute, you can actually see how rutted these roads are, just corrugated, and the work these bikes were doing. And you can see the sand is slowly starting to get boggier and deeper, which none of us really were looking forward to at all. Roughly 200 kilometres west of the Olgas, we came across Laster's Cave. Lewis Harold Bell Laster was a gold prospector back in the 1930s. He actually became stranded when his camels ran off during a storm in the summer, so he decided to stay by the Hull River and took refuge in this little cave right here. Now, he decided 25 days was long enough. He waited for his relief party, they weren't showing, so he decided to walk to the Olgas. He only carried 1.7 litres of water with him, and he only made it 55 kilometres before he died. As we came in from the west heading into the Uluru National Park, we saw this magnificent outcrop of rocks which is now known as the Olgas. It was amazing to see it. It just looked so unreal. It had this blue haze and it just looked like someone had photoshopped these big rocks into the landscape that was so flat, and then just to see these was so magnificent. I highly recommend, if you ever get the chance, to go and see them with your own eyes, because these photos and these videos just don't do it any justice. "30 kilometres out of Uluru, where we were staying, was our first glimpse of the big red rock Uluru. And as you can see, it didn't really impress me nearly as much as the Olgas coming in. It did start to rain, and unfortunately it was quite hard to see, but you could still see it there in a bit of a silhouette. It was quite amazing to see it. After going the wrong place and then having a bit of a laugh at Neil nearly falling off his bike, we've done the whole trip, no accidents whatsoever, only for him to fall off in the car park in front of people was quite funny. It was very funny actually. We ended up getting to where we camped for the next 2 days, and it was quite a nice little camping ground and quite cheap too. Anyways guys, that's the end of day 4. I hope you enjoyed it. Day 5 will be uploaded soon, and that's actually a vlog from Uluru. Anyways guys, don't forget to leave some feedback, and I hope you're enjoying this series. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Laz.